Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun HaMishna. Today we'll be analyzing Perek Bey's Mishnah Aleph. In Terumos Mitorah Tameh in Terumos and Terumos, this is halacha that when you have two things, two piles, let's say, of wheat, you don't, and one is tar, one is tameh. One got tameh by touching a sheretz or a mace or something like that. So you don't, even though you're declaring the truma from the tar and you're not being mafsid the kohen anything, do the opposite, right? Think of tameh al tar. That's a Gemara. Says all over the place. You can't take tameh al tar. Right? B'diavad it works to take off tameh al tar because the kohen can still use it to fuel his fire. But it's a hefsid mamon to the kohen, so you shouldn't give him truma tzmeya at the pot or your truma Torah. You have to give him the best part. Like we quoted yesterday, you have to give it to matana tova b'ayin yafa. You have to give him matana tova. It works, but the Torah says, but you're being mafsid the kohen, so you shouldn't do it. Here's the opposite, where you're going to be left with the tameh produce, which really doesn't make a difference to you because you're Yisrael, and you're going to give the Torah process to the kohen. Why shouldn't you do that? So the Rav says because it's Gzer D'Rabbanan, because you're going to become to be Torah Shalom and Amukaf, not from produce next to the other produce, and you really have to do it. They have to be next to each other. By Chalal, that's halacha. So by Truma, also by extension, that's halacha. And therefore, because one is tar and one is tameh, you're going to want to distance yourself, so you shouldn't be metame the tar also. So it'll be a problem. Shalom and Amukaf. It's like the Rabbanan. I like to suggest a different shot over here, which really helps us understand the last Mishnah in Perek Aleph, that even though we said yesterday that the mitzvah of truma is a matana tova ma'ayin yafa, you're supposed to give as nice a gift to the kohen as you could, wrap it in as many wrappings as possible, and as many ribbons as possible. You're supposed to make it as nice as possible, but you shouldn't extend yourself too much to the point that you're losing out. So take off Torah al tameh, right? Okay, I'm going to be a really nice guy. The kohen can only use the Torah, right? So I'll exempt him, I'll take off the Torah to exempt my tameh. So, tameh really doesn't make a difference for Yisrael, but at the end of the day, if he wants to sell it to a kohen, right, he can't sell it to the kohen, so it loses its partial value. If he can't sell it to the kohen's not going to want truma tmeya, because a kohen can't eat truma tmeya. He can only burn it for fuel for his stove. So therefore, you're losing financially. The Torah didn't want you to take a loss. So if you have tameh produce, take off your truma, tameh al tameh, which the Mefarshim say is okay. If you have two piles of grain, one is tameh, the other is tameh, you can take off truma on one or the other, right? You can't take minator to pot to the tameh to pot to the tor, because then you're losing the kohen, be mafsid the kohen. But tameh is okay. Make it a fair deal. It's supposed to be a fair deal. That also explains the last Mishnah in Perek Aleph, that you shouldn't take off shalom nigmar malachto. You shouldn't take off when it comes to really the chiyuv shumas and the full chiyuv is only when it's processed, completely processed. The grain or the wine or whatever you're giving to the kohen is completely processed. Then the chiyuv shumas and takes full effect, as opposed to taking partial effect beforehand. You shouldn't give him, right? You shouldn't give him unprocessed stuff. Because giving him unprocessed stuff, that's losing the kohen. And also, you shouldn't give him processed and leave for yourself the unprocessed stuff, because you have to do more work to make it processed. You're losing out financially. So at the end of the day, right, it says, Asisa Yashar Tov, you're supposed to be in the Torah, you're supposed to seek the Tov, which is good, the pleasures in this world. You're supposed to be Yashar, to be a fair person. And even when you give a present to a person, you shouldn't overextend yourself. You shouldn't lose out. You shouldn't lose out from doing this chesed. It should be gemilas chesed. It shouldn't be a chesed. You're just running around doing chesed, with a chicken or with the head off of his body, with the head detached from your body. You shouldn't be just a head. You should have a body also. You should have self-worth also, and you shouldn't just demean yourself. And you should make it a fair gift. That the kohen should get a nice gift, and you should wrap it in all the wrappings, but don't be unfair to yourself. That would be the message of this Mishnah. I hope you enjoyed. See you tomorrow.